G'day, welcome to part 2 in the series where I get my Ben Eater inspired breadboard CPU up and running after 3 years and get it to run Snake again. So if you missed the last video up here, I managed to power this thing up after 3 years, got the program loader working, that had a few issues, got the LCD display working, and managed to load a few programs via Wi-Fi and run them. But what wasn't working was the decimal display here, and also the temporary controller I added for the original Snake demo is non-existent. So what I plan to do in this video is wire up the decimal display and also add permanent support for a NES controller, so we should be able to play some games. And by the end of this video, we should be playing Snake. So what I plan on doing is getting Register D wired up, and in doing so I think I'm going to move these over a little bit to make room for a 595 shift register to go in here. That'll drive a NES controller, and in order to drive the 595 I think I can replace this JK flip-flop here with a counter which will produce the clock and latch signals for the 595. And also here we've got a 74139 demux, which I'm only using half of, so I think I can use that to drive the buzzer label line from a new instruction to output the value of the shift register onto the bus. So I'll start by moving this register and the transceiver over to make some room. So I'll move it over 2 pins. So we need to move all these over 2 pins as well. So these ones here I'm going to cut shorter and connect these to the 595, and then cut new cables between the 595 and this transceiver here. So this clock wire, I'll need a longer one of those. Need to shorten this output enable. I thought these might be long enough to reach across there, but it looks like they're not. Bit of a shame. Just wire this top pin of the 595 out, so we've got all 8 data pins in a row. Now I need 8 all the same length to bridge in here. Just checking some of my scraps. Test fit 1 and then I'll cut the rest. Okay, now I need to wire these into this transceiver. Actually, before I do that, I'll wire the register to the transceiver. So for now, I'll just make sure the output enable on the shift register is disabled. And then shortly, once this is wired up, I'll test register D without the shift register. And I think I'll just go directly on a diagonal like that. I'll just use this one to measure up the rest of them. So I'm using the same one each time to measure from. Alright, so that should be enough to try out some programs with register D. So let's do that. So the last program I loaded was the ball program, and already we can see that it's counting the bounces on register D, so that's looking fantastic. I'll just load up the Fibonacci program, I think, and we'll try that. Loading. Okay, I suspect that's working, but really fast. Let's slow down the clock. That looks like Fibonacci. Alright, what other program can we do? Let's try... So this is the isPrime program. We'll see if 21 is prime. Okay, 21 isn't prime. It looks like it's divisible by 7. Let's try a different number. Alright, 237. Let's take a look. Having a good old think about it. $79. Okay. Cool. So the next thing I need to do is wire up this 595 to a clock and latch signal. So I think the next thing I'll do is replace this JK flip-flop with a 161 counter. And then that should be able to power the display and the 595. We'll do that right now. Actually, before I do that, I think I'll briefly explain what the flip-flops are doing and why I can replace them with a 161 counter. So the flip-flops are generating a 2-bit value which loops continuously. This drives the 139 demultiplexer to output one of 4 7-segment displays at a time. We can replace the flip-flops with the counter to generate the 2-bit values, but also generate the clock and latch signals for the 595. Alright, back to it. So 161. Okay, so it looks like he's one pin wider than the flip-flop. So it looks like our clock goes into pin 2. This should probably be white, being a clock signal, but whatever. And clear all need to be high. Might just pull these LEDs out so I can get a better look. Yeah, so these are, I've just soldered these together to make them nice and straight, and I made a jig to put these in, solder all the grounds together. So it's clear, ENP, ENT, all high. The inputs I don't need to worry about. This is an LS. Oh, load needs to be high as well. I think that's it. That should be enough to make it work. Let's try it out. Looks good. So we're back to calculating the prime if 237 is prime. Nope. Okay, that's great. Oh, let me put my LEDs back in. Nice. Alright, let's see if this is enough to drive a NES controller. I have this NES controller extension with some pin headers on the other side. So we've got power and ground, data. So I think what I'll do for now is switch output enable to over here. So instead of register D outputting, we're going to get the output of this 595. Then we have latch and clock. And clear, I guess we'll make high. So I'm going to wire clock into, this is just a test, so I'll leave it loose like this. Clock into the least significant bit here. And latch into, I think bit 4. Actually, we could do it on, yeah, let's do it this way. Okay, here we go. Let's try the controller. So it looks like it's backwards to what it's expecting. So I'm going to try and debug this just by connecting it to the bus. Okay, I think I need to invert the clock, so let's try that. I think I've got an inverter over here I can use. That's exactly what it is. It's a bit annoying. I don't think I've got a closer inverter I can use. Well, let's, I'll go with that. I'll just plug all this back in. That's awesome. That's great. So as it stands now, I can easily switch between having a NES controller and having the numeric display for register D just by switching that bus enable line. So next up, I think what I could do is add another control line for the NES controller into the spare 139 we've got above in register D. That's great. So next I'll just tidy up this wiring and then I'll try it again. So here I'll just make a little wire loop to keep these wires tidy and close to the breadboards. Alright, looks good. So I'll just turn it on one last time for this video and see how it goes. Okay, so that's looking good. I haven't broken anything, obviously. Well, that's fantastic. So if you've stuck around this far, thanks very much. If you haven't, well, you won't hear this anyway. So for the next one, I'll add that control line so I can independently select between register D and the 595, and I hope to see you then. Cheers.